In this video, I will talk about the future simple. The video will be split into two parts. First, the will future, next the to be going to. I will go through some examples, explain how to form a future simple and why we use it. But let's start with the examples. Take a look at the following sentences. I will be 80 in 2076. He will not swim tomorrow. Will we meet again? All three sentences use a future simple. The first is an example of an affirmative sentence, the second a negative one, and the last is a question. To understand how we form the future simple, we have to examine these sentences a bit further. So let's take a look at the first one. I will be 80 in 2076. If we analyze this one, we notice the following. I is the subject, will my verb, be also a verb, and 80 in 2076 is the rest of the sentence. For now, it is important that we focus on the verb. In this case, the verb is will be. This means the verb is consisting out of two verbs. Let's continue with this information and analyze them further. The first part in this example is will. We call this part the auxiliary verb and is always conjugated in the same way. The second part is be. This comes from the verb to be. We call this our main verb. The main verb is put in the infinitive. This brings us to the following conclusion. The future simple is formed with two verbs, the auxiliary verb will and the main verb in the infinitive. Now, we also form negative sentences, of course. If that is the case, we have to change our auxiliary verb will by placing it in the negative form. For example, he will not or won't swim tomorrow. If we want to ask a question using the future simple, we change the order of our sentence. The auxiliary verb is put in front. For example, will we meet again? Of course, you always must remember to put a question mark behind your sentence. Now that we understand how to form a future simple, it is also important to know when to use it. There are four reasons. The first one, to make predictions about the future. We also call this the pure future. I will be a father one day. Or to express willingness. For example, Henry will go on until he is too tired. To express a promise. Ella will reveal her surprise at the end of the party. Or to make decisions on the spot about the future. For example, we will answer your mail right away. As I mentioned at the start of the video, you can also form a future simple using to be going to. I will follow the same structure as before. Take a look at the following sentences. We are going to sleep very long tomorrow. I'm not going to agree with that idea. Is he going to jump from the bench? We are going to sleep very long tomorrow. If we analyze this one, we notice the following. We is the subject, are going to is my verb, sleep also a verb, very long tomorrow is the rest of the sentence. For now, it is important that we focus on the verb again. In this case, the verb is are going to sleep. This means the verb is consisting out of two verbs. And let's continue with this information once again and analyze them further. The first part in this example is are going to. We call this part the auxiliary verb. And it also consists out of two parts. The verb to be, conjugated in the present simple, and going to, which is always written in the same way. The second part is sleep. This comes from the verb to sleep. We call this our main verb. The main verb is once again put in the infinitive. And this brings us to the following conclusion. The future simple is formed with two verbs, the auxiliary verb to be going to and the main verb in the infinitive. Once again, we can also form negative sentences. And if that is the case, we have to change our auxiliary verb to be by placing it in the negative form. For example, I'm not going to agree with that idea. If we want to ask a question, then we change the order of our sentence. The auxiliary verb is once again put in front. For example, is he going to jump from the bench? Now, of course, as always, you need to remember to put a question mark behind your sentence. Now that we know how to format be going to future, we also need to know why we use this one, and there are two reasons. To express intention, I'm going to study very hard for this test, or to express your opinion. For example, this book is going to surprise so many people. Now I hope you understand when and how to use a future simple. Thanks for listening, and see you later.